Doubles. He was second in the NBA, shooting 57%. Nice cut.
Now in Toronto, he'll have a bigger piece of the puzzle here.
George with the steal. And here we are in a two-point game. Anglis finds George, a two-time All-Star. George guarded by Joseph. Driving and a...
Has been coming in just under 30%. It never hurts to get layups.
Hill with a steal. Ahead to Paul George. This is knocked away by Hill. Paul George in rhythm.
Well, you got to figure that's something. I mean, there was sizable contact in there.
George Hill finds Paul George. Screen from Jordan Hill. Paul George out of the timeout to the Ricks and down deep. Pass a little hot for Andre. Gets away to the Pacers. Another Piston turnover. Paul George.
I think PG, he's a terrific team player. I think he's trying too hard. Remember when he scored well was when he was playing and the game was coming to him?
And now his jump.
There was no way otherwise he's going to get a shot off.
Here's Paul, his jumper. Turner, an assist from Paul George, his first.
Great read. Great read. Nailed it.
Hill for three. Too strong. Lavoy Allen has it.
Boy, just a terrific offensive rebounder. 3-point bucket. He being Lavoy Allen, you got a full 24 seconds, so you don't have to be in a hurry. So when he made that first one, that's what I said. He's rarely short on confidence.
Here's another three by Paul.
He can make the shot. And most people don't respect him for making that shot.
Here's Paul in the lane. George, 93-90. Pacers by three.
Good read there.
Anniversary of the movie Hoosiers. Ellis, good looking. George caught a sleeping Whiteside for two. George.
5 of 11. Knocks down his first one here tonight.
George, not that time. And Whiteside couldn't grab it, but comes through with the block. George left alone. Wilkins
Gave it a couple seconds. No one closed out. Got to knock that shot down, and he did.
George, not. Sounds like he's getting more and more comfortable physically, trusting himself on what he can do. Like that. Pacers have cut it to 8, trailed by as many as 13. Inside. Allen will toss it out. George will not.
Change here in Indiana. They want to stretch the floor. They want to push the pace.
George. And those two have worked some nice two-man game tonight.
And Wade contested 3. He has made 5 threes this year, which is a big number. As he started the game, 11 in that first quarter. He's got 6 here in the early going in the third.
Here's George ducking through and laying.
Paul George is steaming here in the third quarter.
George with Winslow staying on him.
George Hill getting in his way.
Yeah, 25 points.
Whoa.
George, not that time. Hill snatches the offensive rebound, denied by Bosch. Batted out. Paul George collects. Has the size on Chalmers, trying to take it to him. George over him. Go! And the foul! Oh, what a shot from Paul George. Here's Paul George, he has 29. Winslow all up in him. George trying to shake him. Difficult look. And
Guys, right in his grill.
George alone. True.
Good for the NBA. LeBron switched off. Paul George off the screen.
He's recovered so well from that injury. It's amazing.
Paul George got that rebound miss. That can't happen. Miles Turner checks in. Their 19-year-old rookie. Off against the Miami Heat. Back comes Paul George. Cunningham tries to stay at taps, giving up size. George a nudge. And George using his size and length. He's 6'9". George double. 36-34. George spinning and backside Paul George. Firing, hitting.
Shoots it with his fingertips every time. Squares his shoulders to his target.
Paul George inside all the way to the hole.
All in space.
Indiana could not go 2 for 1. Long launch.
This is a very active team. Typical Scott Skiles in that they're better and particularly that you expect the Skiles team to play with.
Magic have to deal with Paul George, who goes inside and gets... The first quarter has been the best quarter for the Magic this year as Paul takes a three. Paul George the steal.
Did a good job. Just got where Harris couldn't do anything. Run. He's got to, Ellis can keep passing it. Jordan Hill and they haven't made the shot. When you're playing with a guy and they don't make a shot, you got to start looking for the next option.
Cutting is Paul.
Great cut.
You need that to open things up and get some help. Paul George.
Pacers up by 3 and the ball. They get it to George in the lane. Little handoff for George. Splits the defense. Picking up George. Tough shot. Oh, up to George here with 9. Jerebko, the defender, runs into Hill. Rozier defending, and now is going to pick up Ellis. George tries to dribble through a crowd. Oh, both of these coaches like to play small ball when they can. Ball finds Miles. Miles finds George in the corner for a 3, and he got Ellis the other way, leaves it for George. Pull up 3. George, nice crossover move. Buried.
Shooting jumpers. He didn't miss one.
George. Defended by Smart.
You're going to work this mismatch here.
Yeah.
For
wow.
And then George loose. Corner through there. Took his man with him. Robinson to Hill. Pump fake. Back outside. Paul George. Play. Well, they got something out of it. Paul George. Nice try for the putback. And there's George. Oh, Nico. Ellis drive and kick. George out of the corner. Got caught the first time. Paul got wide open on that 3. That time he knew what he was going to do. Paul George. Right, still scored. Tell you what, good job with the left of Paul George. Fires the shot. Still, even though there was contact. Paul George, on the weak side for the Bulls defensively. George down the lane, shot up.
Wells Fargo Center, 76ers taking on the Indiana Pacers. That is George. Monte Ellis signing with the Pacers during the summer. 2% three-point shooter coming in. George 2, his 3rd bucket in 9 tries, give him 8. George, their leading stroking, his 2nd 3 of the game to give him a lefty.
George is in the mood to take this game over.
I think you're right. C.J. Miles, Monte Ellis in the backcourt. That is Paul George. The jump shot. Are you advocating seeing your turkey fly first before you eat it?
Always a good indicator.
Yeah, he's no turkey.
No.
Sixers only 40 points to this point. Pacers missing the playoffs. The first time in 5 years. Of course, they were without this guy from this one. You're right, Ollie. He's just taken over. He's got 24. It's his 5th 3. Averaging 24.5. It's 8th best in the NBA. He's got 26 points. George.
That's the 2nd time they've run that play from that side.
Or loudest cheer of the night with that throwdown.
Paul, that's off the mark. Rebound is tipped out. And Mahinmi got it. That was Lavoie again. And here's Paul George for 3.
Get a contribution.
Here's Paul again. Too strong. And there's Allen gets it again.
Here comes Paul. Well, because he knows it's a terrific play by Paul George coming in fast break, getting somebody else in last year. And now they get Monroe, so they think they're ready to do some big things. And good hustle there by C.J. Miles.
George fades. And
rushed it at all because there was still 12 seconds on the shot clock.
And Paul George back the other way. 8 points, 4 assists. Paul George has 18.
That's a bad idea. He set a switch, and he already had a smaller man on it.
Continues to set the pace, push the ball up. They've done that all year. He's had 2 good looks.
Next in the league in scoring at just under 25 points a game.
Better. You saw how easily George was able to slip along the baseline.
Paul George again. Paul George. Well, during the 3-game win streak, the Wizards bench
in terms of scoring.
And we'll see Nicholas Batum tomorrow in Charlotte. Look at that. Line tonight, 2 of 7. Make it 2 of 6.
Well, both teams 2 of 5.
Back the other way, it's Hill. They'll try another 3. And George the other way. Feeling it on a fading shot that's having an out-of-body experience for most human beings. He's got 30. Is 6 of 6 from 3-point range, 11 of 15 from the field. George gets free, drops, who is 12 of 17 from the field, 7 of 8 from long range, has 36 points.
all around the NBA to see. So the Wizards will see their 3-game win streak come to an end. But it came at the hands of this guy who
was a foot on the line, so just a 2, but great to see Miles hit tough for it. Matchup to watch, Butler guarding Paul George. 2 outstanding defenders. Gets to the basket, Heat.
Paul Gasol, any of the bigs that Chicago has, you've got to move them. Paul George able to move them and still shoot over.
6 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists in a 7-minute stretch for Ian Mahinmi. He's trying to, dating back to the first half, maybe from 3-point range.
Yeah, I think they pretty well have, because Mirotic has been part of the trouble playing against the Pacers in Chicago, too.
Yeah, he's 3 of 10. Here's PG.
So confident, so smooth with his offense. Up there and in.
Starts the quarter in the post against E'Twaun Moore with 4 to shoot. The Bulls now in 9 straight road games have made at least 7. Answers trying to even the season series. PG for 3. Paul George has 30. And here's a
for 7 for Indiana. Monte gives it up to Paul George. PG.
That's 25 percentage points better than Lakers. Lakers are 0 for 5.
Here's Paul George. Here's George. Outside, working on Clarkson. Paul George lets it go. Shoot free throws. Miles gives it to Ellis. Monte bounce to Paul George. He's underneath. 2.7 remaining. Mahinmi lobs underneath. Paul George. Monte. Here's a catch and shoot. Turn down the middle. He goes over Hibbert with the floater. Roy certainly altered that shot. Then Timber. Down goes Hibbert. He fell over Hill. Goes to Paul George. 1 bounce dribble. Say. Right through the basket, 3-pointer, Paul George. Here's Paul George. 3 minutes to go in the third. Up it goes and through the well. Yes, sir, Nick Young. What'd you say about him getting hot? Now Paul George and go down the other end.
Yeah, but they got to get the ball out of Paul George's hands without fouling him.
Down 7, Nick Young in charge of guarding Paul George.